Good evening, everybody. This is Robin with another edition of Horror Pop After Midnight. And my guest tonight he's a filmmaker, Kenny Fu. How's it going, Kenny?
Hello. Good, Robin. And you?
Yeah, pretty good. How is it over there in Australia?
It's nice. It's a nice, sunny, wintry morning. The weather's starting to warm up a little bit. Ahead of spring.
All right. Now, let's talk about your type of style of filmmaking. It's called guerrilla style filmmaking. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Oh, well, basically what that is just micro budget filmmaking. So where no one gives me money to make films, so we just go out and do it.
That's pretty awesome. I was at Hound Film Festival this week, and I just got home. And your film Slash was one of the short films there. Let's talk about that. It's like a horror comedy. How'd you come up with that idea for Slash?
Well, so that was made as part of a 24-hour filmmaking marathon. So basically we all met up at 8 p.m. At a pub. And then Roxy, who was running that challenge, revealed to us what the challenge was. I didn't have any intention of making anything. I just kind of thought I'd just turn up and help out. And so the challenge was, there were a few things. It had to have spring as a theme, and it had to have the words, the exact words. I always do my own stunts, but never intentionally. And what was the other criteria? Something else, anyway. And so, after the challenge was revealed, everyone sort of got together and had a chat. And so I spoke to Roxy and Ali and Brian, my collaborator, who shot and edited that film, and we kind of like had a loose story for like, oh, what if it's like an interview where, but she's interviewing to get killed, right? She's by a slasher of some sort, right? It's like, okay, all right. So had a loose idea, and then the shoot was the next morning in Brian's basement, right? So I got home, had something to eat, and then just relaxed on the couch, and then like 10:30 came around, 10:30 p.m. I was like, I should start writing this thing. And then by 1 a.m. I was like, why did I agree to do this? And then we turned up, in the morning, and then we just shot it in like probably 4 hours, I think.
Okay.
And then edited and had it ready to be screened that very same night.
Yeah, let's talk.
Tight turnaround time.
Yeah, let's talk about Ali, who played Katie in the film. Like you were saying, she was the one, auditioned to be the victim for the killer. I don't know if she was like a method actor or not, because she kept on turning her personalities on and off, and those facial gestures she does, man, those were crazy.
She was amazing, and I guess and one of the things that we like, in the script was I kind of thought about like what kind of person would do something like that, and so we thought she had to be unhinged, right, and a bit chaotic, and so when I spoke to Ali before that, I kind of I kind of gave her a reference. There was a character in Seinfeld, right, where you watch Seinfeld?
Yeah.
There was that episode where he was dating a girl that she was the understudy for Bette Midler. And so she was like, and so basically she would just cry at a drop of a hat, right? She would drop her ice cream and she would cry, but then like her grandmother passes away and she'd be like, oh, okay, all right, that's fine. Let's just move on, right? But I gave Ali her character as a reference, right? So, we want something like that, and Ali just ran with it, and it was just like phenomenal to watch.
Oh, it was. And I'm not going to spoil anything because, everybody hasn't seen it yet. But the ending, that was just phenomenal. How you ended it like that. I was like, what?
Yeah, it had to come out of nowhere, right?
and then after I watched that, I go, that was bloody brilliant.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, there was another film I was watching. It was real good it was called A Man About a Wallaby. I enjoyed it. It was like a action comedy. I love how he shot it because you kind of shot it like kind of like Scott Pilgrim / a live anime short film. I mean, I just loved the special effects and how you shot it, the whole different scenes in it.
Thank you. So that was so made that 5 years ago, I think, too long ago, and that was made for a New York smartphone film competition, right? It was the Moments Motivational, I think it was called. So basically, with that one, it was 30 days. We had 30 days to shoot a short on the iPhone, on a smartphone, and have it and had to be under 3 minutes long, which is why it was so quick and snappy. So once Brian and I decided, oh yeah, let's do something for this. I kind of and we had to, I had to write it in 3 days, and then we had to go, okay, once we've written it, cast it, I had to show the actors how to perform the action scenes, right? So we had to choreograph it, and then teach the actors, and then they had to learn for like a couple of weeks and find location, all that, and everything was all wrapped up in 30 days. So it was very, very tight. And but I guess, and while the concept for that was, I kind of thought, oh, what can we do to make it as eye-catching as possible? And so I decided to use Scott Pilgrim as a kind of template for that, right? So that's how that whole thing came about. It was a very fun shoot.
It was. And why would he name his wallaby Joey?
Because Joey is the name of a baby wallaby. Right, so a baby kangaroo, a baby anything is a marsupial is a Joey.
Yeah, the fight choreograph was pretty good. I mean, I know you have a background in martial arts, so I know you had, like you said, you probably had to train, the actors to do it like perfectly. And I just loved the action scenes, the slow-mo action hits, and then the whole "Who's your daddy?" move. That was funny.
Yeah, we had to think of ways to sort of continually escalate the action, right?
You'd never see that "Who's your daddy?" move in the Street Fighter game.
Not yet.
Not yet. Maybe somebody will get an idea too. Since you since you write and do filmmaking and all that, you also have a martial arts background in different styles. What got you into martial arts?
Oh, wow, I have no idea. It was I think I've been training since I was 15, and my brother was into it around that time. I'm not sure. I just fell into it, and I just really enjoyed it. I fell out of it a few years, in my 20s, but then got back into it and have trained all kinds of stuff. But these days, predominantly Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and Wing Chun.
And you also speak numerous languages too. That's amazing too.
It's a consequence of being, born and raised a little bit in Brunei, which is like a melting pot of different Chinese ethnicities and Malay, Muslims, and Indians. So I went to Chinese school there, and also spoke Cantonese because of that.
I mean, that's amazing. That has to take a lot of, like time and patience to really, learn all those languages like that.
I think. I mean, Chinese. That was my first language.
Yeah.
So it was so now I just speak it with the family.
Hmm.
But yeah, but I mean, Spanish and Portuguese. I actually started learning when I was like early 30s actually, and just through I just wanted to learn something completely new that was beyond what I the languages I knew then, and Spanish was like one of the most widely spoken languages in the world as well. So I thought, why not do that? And I quite enjoyed it.
So, what led you into, writing and filmmaking? What got you into that? Doing all these like short microfilms and all that.
I think well, I mean, like I've always wanted to be a storyteller of some sort. I thought I wanted to be a writer, like write novels when I was like in my teens, but I don't have the patience and the perseverance for that. It's a really isolating exercise. But then ended up, yeah, I think about 10 years ago, just a mainline just ended up making a short film for Child Fest. And then I fell into this. There's like a collective, a short film collective called Kino, Kino. So there are chapters all around the world. Start off in Montreal, and basically it's like a monthly short film screening night where it's open mic. So anyone can just turn up with the film, and then you have like an audience and can connect with other filmmakers and so forth. So and so they do they do these weekend filmmaking marathons every now and then. So that was a way that was effectively how I got to cut my teeth as a filmmaker.
Yeah, I was
getting out there and do it.
Yeah, I was doing some research on you. I mean, you've had a lot of films out of different film festivals, and you won some awards too. In the near future, are you ever thinking about doing a feature film?
Working on that right now. So, I'm doing second draft of a feature script at the moment, and working on trying to get that off the ground. So sort of shopping around with producer, and also look at how we can fund it. If we can't fund it, then we'll find a way to just make it on cheap.
I've spoken to other filmmakers in Australia. So how come horror is not as popular like it's everywhere else?
It's hard to. I don't know. Like, is horror? I mean, in what way though? Because I think there is an audience for horror in Australia.
Yeah, there is. Yeah, because I've talked to other, horror directors who are getting the horror in there. It seems like, the Aussies, film goers. I mean, there's a few that like horror, but they're, going for every other genre, which was nothing wrong with that. So is horror, indie horror films, making a comeback in Australia? Is it getting more popular in the indie scene?
I hope so. I think I think in Australia, to get films made in Australia, it is very tough. The funding environment it's a labyrinth, of these applications and criteria that you have to navigate through. And so I think and only I think certain projects get funded because a funding body has has control of that. But I think with the success of Talk to Me, I think there's going to be renewed interest in horror as a genre in Australia, which is great.
I think so too. Do you ever see yourself in the future making films in the States?
I'd love to. Anywhere. But I'd love to, yeah. Absolutely.
I was reading another thing about you too. You were thinking about doing a kung fu TV comedy action series.
Oh, so that was so that's Man About Wallaby as a TV series.
Oh,
That's
so was that because I was looking at you
yeah.
about that. So you were trying to make. I could see that going as a TV series, but I can also see it going as a feature film too.
Oh, right. Okay. Okay. I thought about a film originally, but then I kind of thought there's a lot of room to go to go in terms of where that story could go, right? And it isn't very much intended as a it is like a manga, like anime style show, with really out there comedy, but at the same time the choreography had to be had to have people on the edge of their seat, right? And I thought that hasn't really been done before. And then Everything Everywhere All at Once came out, and I was like, "Wow, that was what I had intended, right?" But I mean, they went a different tack, but it was that kind of tone, that kind of crazy, irreverence, that I wanted for this show. Yeah, so I don't know. So right now, I mean, that's been put on a back burner for now, but maybe in the future.
So, what are some of the other films you're doing right now? Don't you have like a few new films that are out there right now too?
Oh, look, not really. I mean, we've got we've this Corridor, which is another horror film that you can watch it on Vimeo now as well. That's done some festivals. That's a fun little short. It's all done in one take. So I think you might enjoy it. We've Aside from that, I mean, yeah, there's Colder as well, which is another iPhone horror. That's probably the longest thing I've done. That's like a 13-minute horror film, and I think people have like gotten a bit freaked out in the cinemas watching that.
I watched Corridor. That was pretty creepy. How you had the cinematography shots where you're seeing the actresses walking down the corridor, and I love how you had like the dark mood tones with the certain lighting and all that, and that creepy eerie voice going, "I'm over here." You know how.
yeah. That was shot in 2 hours, right?
Yeah, I really enjoyed Corridor. I thought it was pretty good. I mean,
Thank you.
It was just different, which I liked about it in an indie film. I was like, okay, I'll give this a check, and I'm glad you mentioned that because I was going to mention that I did enjoy Corridor. That was a good one too.
Great, yeah. So that one was made for like a filmmaking marathon as well. So that one, I turned up to that space that was in Melbourne. And then that was that space there. That was like the hub for that filmmaking event, right? And so people were making films around there, or they could go out and film as well. But that was like the main hub. And I'd never been to that space before. And I got there, and I saw the again. I didn't think I was going to make anything. I got there, and saw that corridor. It was in daylight. Saw all the plants, and I'm like, oh, I'm going to do something with this.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Every time you do like a short, I just love how you have that unique style, how you film it. Every time I watch your films, there's always something different and unique about your filmmaking, and every time I watch it, it just gets like better and better, and you come up with some surprise shots. Because I watched several of your films, so I was like, I'm going to have to check out who Kenny Fu is, because when I saw Slash, I mean, I just like that. I hope you do more films like Slash, because that was just fun to watch. I mean, I know it was short, but I would have loved to see it, go a little bit longer, where she's like going on her misadventures, starting off on the first film, and then you see what she's going to do next, and it goes all chaos.
there's a lot of possibilities with that. But yeah, but like the funny thing is, I was just thinking about that the other day. Just looking back at all those films and watching them after all that time, right? Again, like watching Corridor again, for example. I'm just like, I don't know how to pull that off.
Oh, you can.
I don't know if I can do it again.
Yeah, you can, because Slasher's good, which we talked about. Corridor was pretty good. I liked it. I really did. I really did like Corridor. I like to see that go more out in the film festivals too. I mean, I like to see, Slash more out there in Corridor. You can do like a double and put them into like these different film festivals and stuff. So, in your filmmaking, are you more of a horror, or are you more like a horror like / action genre type of writer director?
I like things that are weird. Right? Okay. So, so anything that's a little bit out there, I'd be interested in doing. Whether it's like action comedy or horror, but I think horror does take up a special place in my heart. So that is an area that I would like to specialize in.
So since horror takes a special a part of your life, your favorite, what was that one film that really got you to fall in love with horror, which led you into doing these horror short films?
Oh man. There isn't that one film. I don't know. What is that one? Donnie Darko, maybe?
Donnie Darko?
Not real horror, but it's great film. Yeah, I really loved it. But that's kind of like a dark genre, I guess. But so many great horror films out there, one of my favorite films of recent years that's not classified as horror but has strong horror elements is Parasite, the South Korean film. I mean, yeah, it's hard to say. Evil Dead remake, that was amazing, right? Yeah, I can't really think of any film that kind of made me go, this is the one. This is why I want to do this. I don't know, I just love it as a genre.
Yeah, there's like a great community out there. I mean, of horror fans out there. I mean, because the cool thing about horror, it's you can go through all genres. You got your comedy, you got your messed up, you got your what the fuck, you got your ones that mess with your mind. You got the modern slasher, and then the modern paranormal. So, I mean, I think that's great if you like all those genres to give you like certain ideas to make that your personal perfect, horror film too.
Yeah. And I think like, of all the genres out there, nothing quite unites fans like horror.
Oh, heck yeah.
So, horror fans really get together, right?
Oh, they do. So, do you think, indie horror is getting more popular than it was before? It seems like we're seeing more indie horror, popping up on the big screens now, and you see more and more of them coming out than the mainstream films.
Yeah, absolutely. I think so, and especially with like with the A24 films, right? There's just been so many amazing films that have come out from that, like Hereditary, Midsummer, which is one of my favorite films in the past couple of years as well. Some like really genre bending films. I think there's room for a lot more.
I think so too. I love the A24 horror films, but I also like the Blumhouse. For me, A24 and Blumhouse are on the top of the mountain for me, because Blumhouse has that certain originality of their horror films like A24, but A24 is on fire, man. They're just putting out some great horror films. It's it's just so memorizing. It's like, oh my gosh, I wonder what they're going to do next, or what I wonder what Blumhouse is going to do next. I wonder if Blumhouse can top any of the A24, horror films.
For sure. Yeah.
So when you're not filmmaking, do you have a geek passion you like?
A geek passion. Right now I'm playing a lot of Nintendo Switch, Zelda. That's amazing. That soaks up all my time at the moment.
I bet that's really good for you to take a break from your film writing. It's like, something? I got this done. Let me get some Zelda, in my mood, and then I'll get back writing again.
I take a break from Zelda doing writing.
Hey, it works either way. So where can everybody find you on social media to see what you're doing next?
I think, this Instagram's probably a good place, so
okay.
Just Kenny SW Fu. I'm not very good on social media these days, but whatever I can think of posting, I'll post it there.
Okay. Thank you so much for coming on and, sharing your story with me.
No worries. Thanks for having me here, Robin. Great to chat.
Yeah. And everybody